everyone, it's Deb from Project Life, Deb's Way again. I've got an absolute beautiful double-sided scrapbook layout for you using the Project Life plastic sleeve system for your 3D ring albums. I've used this Stamperia Roseland collection, which is absolute beautiful pinks and greens. The tonings were absolutely beautiful. I'll give you a quick look at some of the papers I've used, and as you can tell, I was absolutely in my element because pink florals and things are my favorite to use. Don't use it very often, but it was fun to do. I will go through making the cards from start to finish for everybody that wants to follow through with the process video. So please don't forget to subscribe and like my channel, because then you'll get notifications when I have new layouts to show you on my YouTube channel. So let's get on with having a look at the layout that you'll be making. Then I'll go through the papers and then we can start our fun. So here's a quick peek at the layout that you'll be making in this process video. And in the video I have included on how to make this flap pocket, which I will explain on how to attach this to your layout at the end of the video. This gives you a good look at the cards that you'll be making throughout the process, because I will start at card number 1 and finish at this card here, so that you have your full layout once you've finished this video. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel while you're here, because that way you'll get notifications when I have new content. So I'll go on to checking out the papers and everything I've used, and then we'll start making our cards. Show and tell of the papers and things I've used. So I have used 3 sheets of just plain white cardstock for my photo mats and other things in this layout. I also have, for some extra cards, which is the Craft mushroom cardstock. Now from the same cardstock I actually cut some die cuts, which is just like that. I also die cut some of these leaves, and then I stripped apart some fabric flowers that I had in my stash, and I've just used them so they're nice and flat. And inside these I'm going to put the little Diamante center. These are from Heartfelt, just some little flowers that I've stamped. Found a couple of die cuts with some words, and I've also got a few butterflies there as well to finish this kit off. Now I also have used, I found a sort of a silver print paper that came from many ages ago from Craft. So I've done quite a little bit of cutting of this to give me a bit of texture and etc. If you haven't got this, just find your mushroom and maybe do some white prints and things. So these are the papers, which we've got the tag sheet, which I've used. Also this sheet here, which I use a lot of the cutouts and things. I have 2 of these sheets, and I've used a lot of this pink here. And these 2 sheets are exactly the same, but I have used all of this sheet in this particular layout. So there are your papers. So let's get on with making the cards. So card number 1, which is a portrait, we are going to use the 6x4 in the whites. Now with this layout I have used all white 6x4s or 3x4 photo mats. They've all got this as a base card. I then have cut, which most of the pink cards I have actually cut 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, so that when it goes onto my base card, it just has that 1/8 of an inch border all round. So I will just tape that down and pop that onto my base card. Then to this base card, I will be adding a double sort of layer. So I've cut from the green sort of speckly paper that I found in my stash, and this is cut to, I will just measure that for you, 2 1/4 by 5 3/7 of an inch. Now what I did, I just popped it on a piece of the white cardstock and I cut a tiny little border all the way around. That's how I tend to get that, just that fine border. I tend to get my scissors and just eyeball it and cut it. So what I have done, I have edged all around that. So I'm just going to take that down onto my white card. So if I was doing this without showing everybody what I was doing, I would just actually stick that down onto my white cardstock, then cut. That way you'll get your edging absolutely perfect every time. Now this just fits with that measurement, with that little 1/8 of an inch border all the way through. Now I found some script paper with some silver, which I once again has come from my stash, and I've done exactly the same with this. This actually measures, for the white, it is a 1 inch strip by 5 1/4. And the small strip is 7/8 by 5 inches. And I've done all around the edge. And I'm just going to pop that onto my white cardstock. What I did, I decided on this small strip, I actually cut my strip until it was just the right size that I wanted to give me, once again, that 1/8 of an inch. And there we have our first base card constructed. Now, most of my photo mats are 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, so that your 3 by 4 white photo mat fits just on there with a slight border all the way around. So I'm going to tape that down onto my card. And the ephemera was cut from the sheets. Now I will be able to tell you where they were cut from quite easily. So it was this piece here, and it was this cut out up the top here on this sheet of paper. Now don't forget, on my Facebook group, which there is a link in the bottom, I do actually give all the cutting diagrams for these papers, which are still really ready available. So now we are going to put our little photo mat just over to the side. Right, so our little flower, we are going to stick down the bottom, and then I'm going to raise this little rose over here raised. So I'm going to stick this down first, making sure that no tape goes on that photo mat, so that you can actually stick your photo when you've done it on there. Okay. Just make sure, yes. Now this little one here, I have got some fantastic little foam half dots. Now these half dots are, when you get your foam tape, if you have a look at the thickness of your foam tape, it is quite, let's see if I can get it is quite thick. So when you buy these little half foam dots, which are available now, I'll put one here, you can actually see the difference of the width of these, and these are absolutely fantastic for Project Life, because I can put a little one of these dots on here and you will get the depth, but you don't get the bulk in your whole album. So for us scrapbookers in our albums, they're a fantastic find, and it will give you that little bit of depth on your card. So there we have card number 1 complete. Now card number 2, I'll be doing another flap card, which of course, because of the way that these folders work, we may have to put a slice into our folder. So I will attach this to the back, and at the end of the video I will actually go through how I cut my plastic folders. I think that will probably be the easiest way to go. So what we need to do is we will construct our base card that goes inside the plastic folder, which I've got a 6x4 base card, a 5 3/4 by 3 3/4 card, and then a 5.5 by 5 1/4 photo mat. Now don't forget, when you're putting these into your folders, to actually make sure that you put your photograph in first before you put your flap pocket together, because it becomes very, very difficult once you have done that. So we'll just pop that together. I've distressed the edges around the pink, and there is our base card for inside the folder. If you didn't want a fold flap there, just do this particular front card here that I'm completing. So all I have there is, once again, the 5 3/4 by 3 3/4 front card, which was cut from this sheet here, just here I have used. And the two cutouts was this particular flower here, which I just chopped off at the bottom, and I'm going to use facing upwards. And then I cut the flower from the other, because I had two of the same sheets, I cut the other flower here. If you didn't have the second sheet, you could just use some pink sheets and not put the second flower on. It depends on whether you buy the pad or whether you buy the sheets. So I'm just going to attach this onto my front card. Now please do remember, because you're having a flap page, make sure, unlike I normally say, please make sure that you put plenty of tape. So really stick it down well, because it will get quite a beating because it's opening and closing and actually hasn't got the plastic folder to protect it. So there we go, we have got that one down. Then all I did is I've distressed all around my cutout, which is going on the bottom. And once again, I am putting plenty of tape on all my bits. I'm going to stick that down on the bottom, like so. Now this particular one I'm going to put here and I'm going to raise a bit. So I'm going to use my sticky dots again. And I'm putting a few more on than I would normally do, just to make sure that it's well attached. If you don't have these sticky dots, you could actually sort of cut a round circle with some paper and put 2 levels of paper underneath and stick it down. That works as well. And that will give you a little bit of extra dimension. And then these leaves here I'm going to put flat. So once again, I will make sure I've got plenty of sticky underneath. And pop them on. So there we have. And here you can put the title of whatever you are doing and the date as well with this. It does give you that option. Now on the back of this card, we are going to put our full photo opportunity there, but we will be doing our flap mechanism, which all it is a piece of folded paper like that, and I've really creased it well and I fold it both ways, so there you get a really nice fold there. Now this particular card, now when you put it on, it will be, I'm just having a look to where I have got this placed. I want the actual fold and usually I'm going to fold it upwards. I've made the decision because I'm doing this on the inside of the actual folder, it's not going to fold very well. So what I will do with my flat mechanism, I will cut that slightly smaller than the actual plastic folder, because that way it won't rip all the way open and just have an open flap. So whichever way your fold is going, you put your folding mechanism at the top. Now always leave, if you have a look there, I have got a tiny bit of that fold showing. It's roughly just under 1/8 of an inch. Now the reason why that is, your fold mechanism will always work better if you leave that little bit of wiggle room for the paper. Now put plenty of tape down on this. I'm just getting the excess tape I've gone over with. Lay it flat, and that way you can get your card perfectly straight on that fold. It's quite important that you get that fold mechanism working. Then turn your card over, and then we will pop our pink card, which I've distressed, and once again make sure that you tape this card down really, really well, because it is on the back of that flat page. Now, when you're doing this, I tend to slip my card underneath my base card, flap it down to make sure that your front of your card is the correct way. Then open it up, and when you're putting this card in, you can make sure if you've got any print and etc. that your print goes the right way, so it won't be upside down. The times I've done that and I've had to pull my piece of paper off because I've got my writing the wrong way. So there we have our flap. We are now going to put our photo mat on. Once again, I'm putting a lot of tape on this time to make sure and pop your photo mat in. And there you have a terrific photo opportunity. Now, I am making this as a front cover for my album, and the left-hand side will be at the back of my album because I've actually finished a full album. So this is one way that you can actually do your front and your back of your albums if you don't want to use a 12 by 12 photo opportunity. So there we have card number 2, and I will explain how to cut with your mats on the back. The last video, I'll give you that technique. Now, I decided instead of a heading to actually add my words, because I do have lots of journaling spots with this. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue onto my little sign. I've got there live, laugh and love. I think it's a fairly generic, particularly I'm using this as a front cover. I think that will sort of say what the whole album is about. This is card number 3. So what I did is I just did a die cut of a grid with the circle that I particularly liked, and I've done a couple of die cuts, some extra flowers and things. Here I've got a butterfly which I need to cut out. Now, because this strip wasn't quite big enough, I've put 2 tiny strips, one to go at the bottom and one to go at the top. So I've got my 6 by 4 base card, my 5 3/4 by 3 3/4 pink card, which I'm going to attach to my base card. Like so. Now this one here I'm going to attach in the middle of the card, and you can see where those strips are going to go. So I'm going to get my glue and attach this down. I'm going to do the top little area, Then I'm going to do the little circle, and because it's in a plastic folder, that should be enough. So I'm going to place that in the middle. And there we have, it should stick quite nicely down, like so. Now as soon as I've done that, I'll start actually building. So I need my 2 little strips, they're 1/4 inch strips. And as you can see, I haven't measured them. I'm just going to snip a tiny bit off and repeat with the other end. Snip the other end off. And there we have our base card to start building the eye candy, which is what I call the bits and bobs when I don't do a photo card. Now I've got my 3 different coloured flowers, which came from some plastic. It had like a plastic insert and it come like with 3 of the flowers. So I always strip mine to give me my extra flowers. I will do the butterfly very quickly off camera so that we have our butterfly. There we have it. And I've just edged the flower a little bit, the butterfly, sorry. So I've just edged and cut the butterfly out. So what I will start doing is building my base. So I will quickly pop everything on as I think I want it. So I sort of know where everything goes. And once I'm happy of where things need to be, I will actually do that. Now I always like to make my butterflies flutter, so I've got some strips here. I just cut 2 tiny strips and I attach them to my butterfly wings. Like so. I then fold it up and I put a tiny bit of glue in the center. I take my strips off then I attach my butterfly and just press the center down, and you will actually get that 3-dimensional look with your butterflies. So the first thing I need to do is to actually glue this. I'm going to take that piece out that didn't come out of my die cut. I think this was a memory box die from memory. I've had it a long time. This has been sort of a bust, my stash. And I've used a lot of old things that I've had that I didn't remember I had, because I actually went searching at the back of my cupboards. And I'm sure that you've got some twirly leaves or something that you could use. If not, just use some leaves and some scrolls, and that if you have those in your dies. So now we're going to do, once again, groups of 3, and I'll put that one on top. So I'm going to attach these with my glue. Flowers like these can be a bit tricky getting them on. They sometimes don't like to stick. I think I will go even for a stickier glue. This glue is a really thick gluggy glue. Ah, that's better than the wet glue. Now I know some people use hot glue, but I'm not sure with photographs whether the hot glue is actually acid proof, which can affect your photographs. So I don't tend to use that in my scrapbooking at all. So we'll get rid of that glue there. Now I do have 3 lovely little sparkly centres for my flowers. I'll get the sticky off, and I'm going to pop those into the centre of my flowers. As you know, I absolutely adore pink. I'm at my most happiest when I'm scrapping book with these type of floral papers. Absolutely love them to death. So there we have our little 3 flowers. Now I'm going to pop my leaves in next at the back, and once again I'm just going to use my little bit of glue for that. Once again, this was a little die that I had with some filigree leaves. And I just cut them the same as the scrolls. Now these flowers here, I wanted to just tuck a larger one underneath. I'm going to get that under, just want a bit sticking out there. Now these little ones, I decided I really like them, but I thought they would look very, very cute going up that leaf stem. And I'm just going to stick another one just here, like so. And there we have our eye candy card number 3 finished. This is our last of our portrait cards for the right hand side, which is card number 4. Now I've cut the ephemera from this sheet here, and here is the number 4 cluster that I have cut. I have also used the tag sheet, and it's on the back of this particular card. There is that cluster there that I've cut. Now I've got my normal 6x4 card here, and I have my 5 3/4 by 3 3/4 pink, which I've edged, and that will be the first piece that I put onto my base card. And there it is. Now once again I have matched up, as I did in card number 1, with a piece that's going on this side of the layout. I think I might even put it on this side. So this card here is 5 1/4 by 2 1/2, and then I just cut a small 1/8 of an inch edge all the way. So just stick it onto some white cardstock and cut it with your scissors. I tend to find that the easiest way to go. So that will go into the center if you haven't stuck it down already to cut your square. Then that is going on this side of the card, similar to card number 1. Now I also have the photo mat. Once again, is a true 3 by 4 in white, and I've cut my 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. So we will put our white photo mat on to our cardstock. Then we will tape that down. Now I'm going to go from the bottom this time. I've got that slightly crooked, like that. And then I'm going to just pop these onto my photo mat with one just on the top like that, and then I'm going to poke this one underneath, and I'm going to have that one flat, and I'm going to raise this one. So what I want is a photo little dot on this one on the back, and this one is going to be flat. So you can either glue So we'll just poke that underneath, and then get that little flower over your photo mat. Attach that one down. Get hold of your little, and then I'd put some glue on the bottom to make sure it's well attached, and pop that one on the top. And that will give you quite a nice bit of 3-dimensional of your flowers on top of your photo mat. So there we have card number 4 complete. Now we'll move on to our little 3x4s for our photo page. And once again, I have done my 3x4 in that Torpy that we've done all the other photo mats with. And I've got a 2 7/8 by 3 7/8 actual photo mat. So if you've got a 3x4 photograph, you will have to make it 2 5/8 for your photograph to fit with a little bit of white showing. So all we have to do with these ones is just attach them onto your card centered, and repeat that for this card here. And there you have your 2 photo mats. We're going to start our last of our 2 eye candy cards for the left hand side for our 3x4s. Now I did cut my ephemera here. I cut the small flowers from here. I also cut this whole flower here out, and including the butterfly, I used that. And I also used the little floral, the 2 little florals there as well. I didn't have much florals left from this. I've used every single last bit of extra flowers I had. So as normal, I found some pads. I managed to get these little notepads in my travels somewhere. I don't know where I got them from, but I've got 3 different ones and I've used them all on this particular layout as well. If not, just find some scrap journal, postcard, anything like that that you can actually use. Now I've got my 3x4 white for my base card. I also used the pink, which is a 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. I had a 6x4 card and I've just cut them both down to size. From my green paper, which once again I have just cut the little bit out, and the size for that is 3 1/4 by 2 3/4, so that it will fit just at the bottom of the card to carry the extra squares through the layout. So all we have to do with this, I will start on card 5B. I have edged the edging around the edging, and we are going to attach that to our base card. I then am going to stick my lovely little notepad, and on this I'm going to put the words "the story continues," or I'm going to put here the Job's story, and then I might put the years that the album is about, because I'm using this as my front cover piece. Now I'm going to pop this down here. Now I'm just going to pop my little flowers. I might also just pop my little rose up here. No, I think I might even do that. So I'm going to put this one flat. Then this one I'm going to put a sticky dot on the back. And just pop that down. So there we have our story card that will tell us all what's going on. Now with this card, it virtually is the same. We will put our base card down, making sure the print's the right way. These Stamperia papers were absolutely beautiful. Now I'm just going to put this one on the pre-cut card with that little border, and then I'm going to attach that down the bottom of my base card. On this I have got my butterfly, the little piece. I'm going to work out which way I want my florals to run. I think that is a better option. No, I think I like it that way. I'm going to tuck that one underneath and then put my butterfly on. And once again, I am going to flutter my butterfly once I find out what I have done. There it is. Sorry, I should have done this before I started making these cards. There we have our butterfly. Ready to go on our card. Just tuck that bottom in. Now I'm going to glue this one down. so. And I'm going to get my little half circle glue dots, put a few of those on. Here we go. Okay. And we'll just stick this one down, which of course will give us a bit of depth. And there we have our two eye candy cards done for our side layout. Now we're going to start on our right hand side of the layout, which I'm going to be using as my back page of my album. So I have got my 6x4 base card, my 5 3/4 by 3 3/4 other card, and I'll be using this spludgy side, so I'm going to put my tape down. So, and then I have got a 5 3/8 by 3 3/8 photo mat, which will go in the center of that base card. So there we have a very easy photo mat for card number 6. Now card number 7 is exactly the same as card number 3, but it is just rotated so that it is landscape. So I'll speed through this one because you've already made a similar card to this, and you should really know because you've seen that card how this one goes together. So we'll just get going on this one. That's our base card constructed. Now the difference is with this one, we will just pop our little scrolls and things here, just up a bit like that with a bit of glue. So probably pull that scroll down slightly. Get that all attached. And if there isn't enough glue, pop a bit of glue on whatever needs to be. There we go. And once again, we're going to get our thick gluggy glue. Put our group of 3 flowers in. Get them all attached. Then just do our leaves. Once again, groups of 3. Pop our larger of our flowers underneath in that cluster. And then once again, I've got those 3 little flowers to pop onto our vines. Like so. Now as you can see, I've got quite a bit of white space here, so I've decided to put my little word here, and I found this with my dies, is just be happy. And that is going to go right in the center. Like so. So we'll just allow that to get attached, and there we have card 7 completed. Once we have popped our bling onto our flowers. Centers. There we have our lovely little card, which is landscape, compared to the one that is portrait. So this is card number 8, and I have just got my 6x4 base card, my 5 3/4 pink paper, which of course is going to go straight down, and I'll make sure that my writing is the correct way. I have got here a 3.5 inch by 3.5 inch, which of course I've cut my white square for. And that is going to go into that corner of the card. We'll just attach that onto my card. I then have my 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 with my 3x4 photo mat. And then this goes centered into that square. I then want my little bit of florals up the top here and my rose there, which I'm going to put on foam tape. So we will attach this one flat. Get my little foam buttons. There we have card number 8 complete. Card number 9. This is our last of our 4 6x4 cards, and I have edged these two. So you've got your base card of 6x4, your pink card at 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. So as normal, we will stick our base card down. We also have our lovely silver, which is 5 1/2 by 1 1/4. That is going on that little white pop of white card. And that is going down the bottom of your base card. Now you've got your 3x4 photo mat put on the mushroom cardstock. And then that is going to sit on the side like that. Now we have got a lovely bit of foliage here, which is coming up, but don't forget not to stick that piece down. And then we've got another piece here, like so. Now these were cut from the tag sheet, and you have this flower here that you cut, and if you turn this sheet over, it is that flower in the back that I used for the florals, and this is going to be mounted. So we're just going to glue this one down. And then we've got the foam dots on the other piece, which is going just at the bottom. So I might even just raise this up a little bit. Slant it a little bit, and then pop that rose on the bottom. Then I have the other little flower to just tuck in the bottom to complete that card. Now if you've got any lying over, just give them a bit of a trim with your scissors, because that way they'll fit in your folder really. So this is our card 10A and 10B. Now if you were just doing a 3x4, you would have your 3x4 little mat here, but because in Australia we can't get those, we have to make a 6x4 for the type of pocket page that we have. So to do that, all you have to do is do your 6x4 card, and then your I'll measure this up. It is 2 7/8 by 3 7/8 photo your mat, so that will go onto that white card like so. Then we have the ordinary, same as the other side, for 5A and 5C. You have your 6x4 in your mushroom, which goes over the top of that white card. It's so that they don't slip around in that plastic folder. You then have your slightly smaller 2 7/8 by 3 7/8 little white photo mat to go on there. Then we will just build this card up, and I have got one of those photo little memo pad pieces. Then I have got my beautiful little flower bouquet, which will go flat on the bottom. And a tiny little butterfly, and because it's so small, I'm not going to flutter this butterfly. It's just too small and too fiddly. And there we have our card 10A and 10B, very quickly put together. So now we're on to our last two cards, which is 10C and 10D. Once again, I've got my 6x4 if you can't get your small little pockets, or if you have 6x4s, this is how you can make your album look more consistent, is you just take your 6x4, you put your 3x4 in your mushroom on the side that you want that, which is here, which is the 10C. You then have your 2 7/8 by 3 7/8 photo mat, which goes in the center to make that base card. Now our other one, we have our 2 7/8 by 3 7/8 card there, which we'll pop onto the white. Just get that centered. I also have cut a 3.5 by 1 3/4 in the green and pop that onto my white pre-cut little square. That then is going over the side near the photo mat. Now I've cut a floral, and that has come from the opposite side where all these cutouts and everything else, just here. So when you're cutting, make sure that you have that 4-inch line cut for some of your cards. So this here, I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to cut my little floral piece out. And then work out which way I want this to sit. And I think it might be this way. I am going to find myself another pink butterfly, I think, out of my cutouts. To actually just pop here. So to finish this off, I've just found my butterfly. I'm popping my ephemera down flat and the little roses, which I cut off. And there we have 10C and 10D and our whole of our layout complete. Well, here's the finished layout done. I hope you followed this process video from start to finish, and until the next one, keep crafting. Bye.